Hey, welcome YouTubers, Club Erie again. Kind of excited about this project today. We're gonna make a counterweight for the tractor. So everybody with a tractor knows that these 3-point hitches, these backs go up and down, but if you put a bucket on, like if you go to that tractor out there, it has no weight on the back. You can hardly lift anything with that bucket. So you put a rototiller or a blade or something on the back to make it heavier in back so that you're not kind of doing an endo and you overweight the bucket and then the tractor can't go anywhere because there's no traction on the back tires. Even if you have four-wheel drive, it's still a problem, which that tractor has, this one doesn't. So we're gonna make this concrete block. What we're gonna do is take this is a 3-point trailer hitch. Basically these screw in here and then it goes into your 3-point on your tractor. So you all know the 3-point. We took those off for now. So this is going to go into a bucket like this. We're going to make a couple slits on the bottom so these can go through and they're going to stick out for the third member of your 3-point. When that pops through down there, we'll have to cut a little U out of here so this can go through. This thing's going to serve two purposes. It's going to be a really heavy weight. By my calculations, I'm figuring about 350 pounds. And also the other useful part of this is it's still going to be able to be a 3-point trailer hitch because this receiver is going to be sticking out. You can put any trailer or whatever you want to do with a receiver. You can put a clay pigeon thrower, whatever you do with your truck, you can do with your tractor. So when we get this finished here, we'll kind of walk you through the process as you know we're doing the concrete. But we're just going to cut a couple holes in this thing, put it outside, go get a couple bags of concrete, probably 3 or 4, mix them up, and okay, we're just going to mark this real quick so we can cut it out. Here, and here, and here. All right, we got this thing and we got our initial cut, made a couple slits in the bottom for this, the third member of the 3-point, you can see right there. We just got to pull it back out. We got to come down a little bit more on definitely this one. Definitely this one. Looks like we're probably maybe even a little bit on this one. So we're going to go ahead and pull it back out and make a couple more cuts. Safety first. Chad's going to make this next cut with a safety glass.
got the sides perfect, but we got to go more on this one.
Okay, we got this thing about 90% done. We had to make a bunch of modifications. It didn't work out exactly how we thought, which is kind of how projects go when you're fabricating things that aren't factory. But put it on this tractor to show you. Obviously, this is a big, heavy-duty tractor. I have an old Ford 8N. I'm sure you're familiar, anywhere from the 40s to the 60s. I think they're category 2 tractor 3-point hitches. I forget which category. But I just wanted to show you it works fine on these. When it comes up, we brought this up to the point where it was going to hit. This is going to be concrete, obviously, but we just got this plastic case right now. We brought it up to the point where it's going to hit here. We made a modification inside this box that's going to hold the concrete from getting into that cavity, so you'll be able to raise it all the way up. And it does go down just fine. So that's how this thing operates. What I'm going to do is pull it off and show you why it didn't work out the way we thought on the tractor. In the back here is where it didn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And then when you come over to this tractor, you can see, because we have such a narrow spot here compared to where these mounts are that are probably 6-8 inches further apart, we can't let me get this side on again first. Okay, so this side's on. That side won't go on because you can see it binding right here. And it's going to be the same with this thing. When it comes up, it's going to want to hit right here. So if I take this out and show you the other side, when this gets filled with concrete, we put some cardboard here, cut this, so these arms here will be able to get to the pin on both sides. This is the cavity where this is going to sit. Where you saw it binding on this one, this cavity is full of foam also. So when we pour the concrete in here, we'll be able to pop this whole thing out off the concrete, get the foam out of the way, and it should work perfectly. A little more work than we had anticipated, but we'll show you when we do it fill it with the concrete.
And right here, knowing that we have the 2.5 inches up here, we did taper these to go down, so we're not losing as much concrete when we do the pour.
All right, so here's where we're at with this project that's turning into a huge project. We had to, first of all, we added these poles to it. And the reason for these poles is because they're going to sit a couple of buckets with some extra weight that we made over here. So we're going to fill these with concrete. They're ready to go. We welded some handles so we can actually carry them. So those will be filled with concrete. This is going to be filled with concrete. And we had to add a bunch of rebar to reinforce everything. This will strengthen the concrete. It'll strengthen the, when you stick a 100-pound bucket of concrete on the top over here, it's going to give it a bunch of strength. Hopefully not break, but it's kind of an experiment, but I think it's going to be a pretty successful one. So,
what kind of concrete are you using?
We're going to use some fiberglass reinforced concrete, and you can use a bunch of rebar, which we're actually going to have both. It's going to be reinforced with rebar and some fiberglass concrete. So now this thing has to get put on something really stable to pour the concrete into, because it's going to end up to be about 350 pounds guesstimating. So it's going to go over here onto the lift. Now we're going to put plastic down on the ground. This is going to be a mess, but you can't just set it down because those poles are in the way. So it has to sit up on something. You can't stick it on, some might say stick it on a garbage can or something, which you can't do because it's going to be too heavy. So this is where it's going to get poured, and we will come back when we start mixing concrete. Okay, so I got a concrete mixer today. I went and bought 8 bags of 90-pound Quickcrete, and I only needed 5. This particular piece took up 3 bags. It's exactly 3 bags right there. And the extra weights that we're making took 1 bag a piece. Yeah, 1 bag a piece for those. So now I'm firing the heater over here at it because I'm trying to get it to set up a little quicker. But I also need to continually work with these so they don't get solidified in the concrete. I'm hoping this works. And I want these to pull out of here when it's nice and dry, but if I let them get cemented in and harden, they will never come out unless you drill, chisel, hammer, break, risk destroying the concrete. So there's the project as of today. Okay, this thing's dried for about 2 days now. So we're gonna try to knock this plastic cover off. First I gotta cut out this foam so the cover will fall. So I'm gonna get in there with a knife. Try to pull that out of there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get all that out of there. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to this side also. Okay, I got those foam blocks dug out of there. So now I'm just gonna tap this box off of here. See it's starting to come. I'm not going to put you through all that misery, so I'm going to shut the camera down for about 5 minutes. Okay, almost got this box off. It was much easier said than done, but I just kept banging on these corners. And the only reason this is actually coming off is because the bottom of the pour is smaller than the top, so it's kind of like a cone, so to speak. So it will pop off. If it had been the other way around, it would have been impossible. Would have had to break the plastic off. There, you see it's going to fall off. Okay, there you have it. I got to get it flipped over, mounted on the tractor, get my other weights on there, and we can see how well it performs on the tractor. I think it'll be a pretty successful project. Although putting beet juice or some type of tractor fluid in the tires is probably much easier, going to cost more money. But by the time you take into consideration all the time involved, it might be worth it. You might even need both. The beet juice, which is the most environmental friendly way to go. Some place sells it. I forget the name of it. It's called Rim something, but they sell it. It's about $3.50 a gallon. Probably could do that and this and pick up about 700-800 pounds. Okay, I got these buckets flipped over, and when we poured this concrete, we drilled a hole through the center of the bucket, greased up these tubes, and put cellophane around them. Now, I don't know if I needed grease and cellophane. I think just the cellophane would have worked, but you see that popped out of there real nicely. If I can get some light in there. Well, it's a hole that goes all the way through, but I can't see because there's plastic stuffed in there. So same with this one. Let's get this plastic out of the way. And it does go through. I can see the light, but just can't see it with the camera. So now, if you didn't understand before, those stack on top of here, add an extra almost 200 pounds, 180 pounds probably. So now you have almost 500 pounds of ballast, and you can still use your 3-point receiver hitch. Okay, here's our almost finished product. I guess it is kind of finished, but we have it mocked up on this tractor, and you can kind of see why we did everything we did now. Here you have your trailer hitch, so you can, plug whatever you want into there, still pull trailers around, put any kind of connecting receiver in there you want to. You see where we had that foam and the cardboard taped in that gray box that we used? You can see why we do that. As soon as you lower this thing down, the arms need that space on each side to actually get onto these pins. On the 3-point, the third point of the hitch, you can see where we made that cavity there too. That actually needed to be there, or that wouldn't be working. It would probably lift it about 2 inches and you'd be stuck. So if you lower it down, you can kind of see all this work. Keep going. Yep, keep going. All right, go all the way down. So here you can see if this block was still a block, square, it's still square on the edges, you would not be able to get onto this pin. So you're gonna have to, if you're making your own, you're gonna have to carve that out, and don't forget your third point is going to need that cavity also. So if we go ahead and fire up the tractor, I'm gonna have Chad fire it up. You can see that it works fine, but when we add the other stuff to it, we add one bucket to it, which is about 90 more pounds, it really struggles. If we add 2 buckets, it won't do it. So here it goes with just the weight. So not a problem, puts a bunch of weight on there. Now if we go ahead and add a bucket to it, I'm gonna have my friend Derek and Chad grab one of the buckets. You're going to hear the tractor struggle. I don't know if you can hear that through the video, but it's struggling. So if you add another bucket to it, try one more. Yeah, it just won't do it. So let's go ahead and pull one bucket off of it. Let's lift it up and show them how light the front end is on this tractor. So when you lift up a bucket, you can see how easy this tractor is to lift. That's why you need that ballast. If you got a bucket full of water, concrete, soil, whatever you fill the front bucket is, you're going to need this, especially on a small tractor. This one's going to be pretty slick though, because on the bigger tractors we can add the extra weight. All right, I want to give you guys an idea of why we made this ballast for the back of the tractor. Here's I think it's a 57 Ford. Got a decent bucket on it. You can get a bunch of weight in there. The problem is when you do that with this tractor, you lose all the traction on these rear tires for, you know, stopping, taking. I mean, it gets stuck real easy. And when you're trying to stop, it's an issue too. You'll slide 10 or 15 feet. But here you can see this ballast worked out real nice. It only sticks out, you know, from where the tractor would actually end here, roughly 6 or 8 inches to the receiver hitch. So it's a nice tight fit. It's easy for turning, parking, maneuvering, getting around the yard, as compared to if you have a tractor like, you know, another attachment like this box scraper. I mean, this thing's sticking out 5-6 feet from the back of the tractor. It's hard to make turns, get around cars and obstacles. You know, when you add the bucket and the back scraper or whatever attachment you have back there, it becomes quite an issue to maneuver around. So yeah, it worked out real well with this tractor. Just we're real happy with how this came out. We're probably going to make a couple more.